Not to mention, he is not white.
I mean, we don't mean you any harm.
What you mean, we, white boy? White boy. White boy.
What?
What?
What? Ooh, had been saying that.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff Porter from Cinema Reactor. Today we're talking about another Steven Seagal movie because I had so much fun with the last one. It got a lot of views. So I did it again. This time, he's a dangerous man. So this time around, Steven Seagal plays a man named Shane. Like I said, he is a dangerous man, according to IMDb, because I could not tell you this, because I have no idea. After serving 6 years for a crime he didn't commit, Shane Daniels is released from jail with an apology from the state of Arizona. Within hours of his freedom, he unluckily bears witness to a cop killing by Chinese mafia who have kidnapped a girl in a bag of drug money. In this action-packed thrill ride, Shane agreed to help the girl to get her uncle back to safety. And he's ex-special forces. But of course, Steven Seagal is only one man, and even he has the humility to realize that he needs help. So who does he get? Again, just like with the other thing we watched, it's the Russian mafia. So this film is absolutely crazy, and I love it. This is the type of stuff that I just cannot get enough of, and I don't understand why. Every time I bring this up to somebody, they're like, "Oh, why would you do that to yourself?" I find it hilarious. This is the funniest movie I've seen this year. Everything about this film made me giggle like the entire time. I was just having a blast with it. And this is from 2009. This is in that era, like right before the goatee and the sunglasses. So not only is there just a completely incoherent story going on with characters that you have no idea who they are, what they want, what they're doing, why they're even talking to each other. And then, of course, like every Seagal movie, there has to be some weird twist, and there's a backstab, and this person's actually working for that guy, and none of it makes sense, but I love it. At least in this, compared to the television series that I watched, that I didn't know was a television series, at least this had some good action in it. And, I mean, not from Seagal, but, I mean, Ryu from Street Fighter's in it, and he has some good scenes, except he gets his ass handed to him by Seagal. Like, for instance, in his fight with like Ryu and stuff, I'm just gonna call him Ryu throughout this. In his fight with Ryu, like Ryu's like going to town and like trying to actually do stuff. This is the extent of Seagal's work. This is what he does. With one hand, he just kind of lazily brings it back and forth. He's like, block that, and I block that, and I block that. And then this hand is just like going like this. And so he's got like the wax on, wax off thing. And that's what he does. Like, there's one scene where he legitimately does this for maybe a good 15 seconds. And he's just fucking blocking and dodging everything with this. The best way I can describe this is if it was written by like a 14-year-old, because I'm pretty sure Seagal was in on the screenplay as usual. Because there's always those moments where, like those David Caruso moments I compare them to, where he thinks he says something like really deep and yeah, like that was the coolest thing I ever said. But it's like a 13, 14-year-old kid who calls himself Dragon in the front yard. Like, he would write this kind of a screenplay. Like, even Above the Law, Out for Justice, stuff like that. It's still cheesy, but it's like a fun cheesy, and it works because there's actually a story there, and there's actually a character that you kind of care about. And Seagal, like, was thinner and looked like a martial artist. Like, it worked because there was a solid story there, and you could make Seagal passable. However, as soon as you take that good writing away and you take away the plot, and he does it, whew, he's in above his head.
Meet Steven, an action star who believes it's real. Steven is above his head.
So this film starts out with Seagal's like girlfriend or wife getting mugged, and she's screaming, "Shane, Shane, Shane!" And then he comes over, he's like, "Motherfucker, I'll kill you!" And then he runs off, and then he gets convicted for murdering the guy, and he's in prison for 6 years, I guess. And then they're like, "Oh, I guess you didn't do it. You want $300,000?" And he's like, no, you can't put a price on family. And then the first day that he's out, like he gets his bag and he goes for a walk and he's standing like on the pier, like having these weird flashbacks of his wife who is naked and he's not. But of course, he encounters a police killing from this Chinese gang and this Russian kids involved in it. And from there, it's just kind of a mess because all of a sudden they find this girl in the trunk and he saves the Russian kid's life. And so now the Russian kid's gangster dad is indebted to him.
What do you think?
From now on, you're my brother.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
And the girl's like, oh, I'm so happy you saved me, but they have my uncle. I need you to help me. And it takes about a solid 7 minutes of convincing us. And Seagal's like, okay. And then we get into this convoluted plot of the Chinese gang backstabber going behind the other guy's back, trying to steal the money. And then Seagal teams up with the Russian gang, and then they go and kill the Ryu's gang. And all of this is because the girl's uncle, he's like powerful. Like he's in charge of something. I don't fucking know.
Stuff like that I'm trying to figure out, you know?
But even worse than like the plot and the story is just the production on this thing. Like I feel like I could make better props and better production value than they did with their millions of dollars. As a matter of fact, I did. So towards the beginning of the film, Seagal walks into this convenience store and he buys a bottle of whiskey, and the label it's just a blank label with some text on it, and it says Jack's, not Jack Daniels, Jack's whiskey. And I've made a better label myself. In fact, you can see it in my short film called Waypoint. But then also there's like these weird dubbing scenes. They have to dub Seagal in a lot of his films just because he's so mumbly and you can't understand what he's saying. But most of the time it's him. In this, it's just some guy that sounds nothing like Seagal at all. And they just dub it over anyway. It's amazing.
Well, the boy owes me something. Why don't you check with the father? None of your fucking business. Well, how bad do you want to find out what's in the bag, boy?
Not to mention, he is not white.
I mean, we don't mean you any harm.
What you mean we, white boy? White boy. White boy.
What?
What?
What? Ooh, had been saying that.
But there's so many points throughout this film, though, where it just makes absolutely no sense. The way, like, he's either dubbed, he's either acting like he's not white, and his martial arts is wax on, wax off at the same time. But there are some scenes in here that just are completely out of left field that don't make sense with anything that's going on. I'm even kind of afraid to say anything on YouTube because I'm afraid it might get flagged for the content, because it gets very strange and very odd at a point or two. So I mean, the writing is already, absolutely crazy. The production value, I've seen better production value on YouTube videos. But the way that this is shot might even be worse than the script, because this kind of has that Bourne Identity cut fight scene shaky cam thing going on, so you can't tell anything that's happening. That's another thing with his early stuff too, like Above the Law. Not only was it well written, it was well directed, it was well shot. Kind of everything else was incredible, and it made him stand out as a star, even though it probably wasn't him. And so when you take everything else away, you kind of discover just how kind of crazy of an actor he is. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is another straight-to-DVD Seagal film. It is horrible, but it's horrible in all the right ways. Like, the bad dubbing, the way that it was shot, the terrible writing, the way he speaks, everything just kind of comes together and makes it like a cheesy, fun watch that's funny and will make you laugh out loud. And I mean, it's probably actually one of his better straight-to-DVD films. Like, this one actually has, like I said, it has those moments where you're like, oh, this is almost decent. And then, I mean, it goes back, But I mean, everything about it is still just completely outrageous. But I think that's kind of why you watch Seagal films. Honestly, if I were to suggest to you like a Seagal movie on Tubi, I would probably go with this one just because of its outrageous nature. I think that there is something there. Check it out, give it a watch. It's got a lot of great moments that'll make you laugh. So thank you guys for stopping by and checking out the video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.